All right, y'all, we're back with another video. Today, man, we're going to be reacting to a video from a YouTuber named Yowana. Hopefully I'm saying this right. Please don't bite my head off if I'm saying your name wrong. I apologize, man. But it's interesting that I came across this video. I guess it's look like it's doing numbers. It's going viral. It's about to go viral. It's getting there. And the title is, Do I Regret the Nintendo Switch 2? And I've been seeing a number of these videos pop up. I don't know how I feel about the purchase that I made for the Switch 2 so far, though. But let's go ahead and get to this video and see what she's talking about.
It's now been over 4 months since the Nintendo Switch 2 first launched. And after playing this basically every single day and racking up hundreds of hours on it, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on whether or not this is worth it, or if I've got Nintendo Switch 2 regrets. Now, I think in order to properly explain my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2, we first need to go into why I upgraded in the first place. You see, I am someone who absolutely loved my Nintendo Switch.
Now, I didn't have a Switch 1, so I didn't have a chance to really experience the Switch 1, though. So a lot of the people that do have buyer's remorse, they probably experienced the Switch 1 and understood what they were upgrading to, or they probably thought they was going to get more. Me, currently, do I have buyer's remorse? No, because it's early. But like she said, it has been 4 months, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts. I'm gonna give you my thoughts in a little bit of well, because in the day I still have some pushback against Nintendo, for this launch, But
the Nintendo Switch most definitely started to show its age, especially in the last year or so. And it kind of got to the point towards the end where it felt like the compromises I needed to make to play games on the Switch were just not worth it. Meaning that even though this was the console that made me fall in love with indie games, it just wasn't cut out for most of them anymore. And that's why I bought the Nintendo Switch 2.
So was it the power, or I guess the power of the games, or just the games just wasn't cutting it? That's what I want to know. I don't know.
I was hoping that this would solve all of those problems. And ever since the day I first got it and unboxed it, this has become my main gaming machine. And this meant not only was I gaming in the comfort of my own home by playing it docked on the TV, and of course in bed, because that is my favorite place to play games, but I also took it out and about with me.
Handheld. I play it docked.
The Nintendo Switch 2 came with me.
I like the big screen.
So this meant it's been on planes, trains, and road trips to see if it truly lives up to being a handheld console hybrid. And whilst the Nintendo Switch 2 is by no means perfect, I don't think I could ever go back to playing the Nintendo Switch after playing this. Although I do wish that Nintendo could have added on to the brand new console feel by giving us a homepage that wasn't identical to its previous console. Because I'm gonna be
snap! So I guess the homepage looks like the Switch 1. Come on, Nintendo, come on, man. This console cost for me with the bundle, it cost me over $500. So come on, Nintendo, come on, man.
Honest, unboxing the entire Switch 2, setting everything up, which took a while, to then only be greeted by the exact same page you've been looking at when you've been playing your Nintendo Switch for years.
See, I didn't experience the Switch 1, so I wouldn't know.
So Nintendo, I beg of you, just give us themes for the Switch 2. It would be fantastic.
That makes sense.
One of the first things that I noticed when I took the Nintendo Switch 2 out of the box was how much bigger it was than the Nintendo Switch. And whilst that is true, the Switch 2 is noticeably larger than the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, for sure. Definitely, screen is bigger. I really
like that about it, because this means that we've got a bigger screen, which makes handheld gaming already better, but also larger Joy-Cons. So the buttons are spaced out a little bit more, and the whole console just feels more comfortable in your hands. Okay, next, let's talk about the Pro Controller, because this is something I am continually asked whether it is or isn't worth the price. And whilst the price point is incredibly expensive, I can honestly say this might be my favorite controller ever. The back buttons, for example, are something I've had a surprising amount of use of so
Out of
far.
the
You can
Joy-Cons and the
reprogram what
Pro
they do
Controller,
in any
I
game,
love the
and it
Pro
is
Controller
really
more
useful to
than the
have. But by
Joy-Cons.
far, the thing that is the
Not mad at
biggest
the
difference
Joy-Cons,
between
though.
the Switch controller and the Switch 2 Pro controller is these sticks. These just feel so unbelievably smooth and glide
It's
around
comfortable.
so much
Super
more than the
comfortable.
Switch controller did, and I can really feel the difference when I switch between them. I'm also
Definitely.
happy to say this doesn't get nearly as dirty as I was expecting it to, even with the matte finish. So even though I can't 100% say this is worth the money, as it is really expensive, if you buy one, I think you're gonna really enjoy it.
Gaming in general is expensive, man. It's crazy. And for the Switch 2 to be $500, man, like, well, 450. Nah, it's probably 500 now. The price went up. Yeah, but for the Switch 2, for the bundle to be $500+, man, I feel like they gotta, man, like, give us some slack on the accessories, man. Like, accessories shouldn't be more than the video game itself, man. That's just me.
But yeah. The next thing I want to touch on is the Nintendo Switch gimmicks, the main one being the mouse mode. Now, it was used in a lot of detail in
I'm
Drag
good
X
on the mouse
Drive,
mode,
but
for sure.
unfortunately that
And I
game
didn't play
wasn't even
Drag X
relevant
Drive.
the day it released, so not a
All right,
lot
let's
of people
fast forward.
played
Let's
it.
fast
But as
forward
of
to
right
it.
now, the mouse mode has not really been utilized all that much outside of Drag X Drive. I know Metroid Prime is coming out, which is planning on using it. We also know that Stardew Valley is coming out, which will use the mouse.
Speaking of Metroid Prime, where's the promo for Metroid Prime, Nintendo? Like, Kirby Air Riders is getting getting two directs. We've seen the first one that was like 40 some minutes long. It's like what's different that's going to be on this Kirby Air Riders. So I think, man, it's like the rollout for like the Switch 2 has, I don't know, it feels like they've been freestyling. No. And one thing I gotta give pushback against Nintendo is like as far as like the Nintendo Direct, it was cool, but like the general Direct, it was cool, but nothing really blew me out the water. Which she's probably gonna say something about the Direct pretty soon. But I don't know, man. So far I don't have buyer's remorse, which I'm gonna reiterate that and stuff at the end and give you my thoughts. But I do have some gripes. Some positive things and some gripes about the Switch 2. So
Mode as well. Unfortunately, though, we've also heard that Two Point Museum, despite the fact that it is a management game, currently will not have a mouse mode feature in it. So
that's
clearly,
silly.
not all the developers are utilizing this feature, and the management genre is the one that needs it the most. So it's really sad to see they haven't even gone for it. So at the
It's
moment,
tough.
it is feeling a little bit on the gimmick side and not really something that's amazingly useful. But I
I'm
do
good on the
hope this is
mouse
something that's going to change
mode with
over
the
time.
Joy-Cons.
We also haven't really seen any games other than a couple of first-party titles use anything to do with the camera. Again, I hope this
Yeah.
changes. I feel like you can do a lot
And
of
then
really
the
fun
camera's
stuff
not
with
even
it. Mario
not
Party
even that
Jamboree did dabble in it,
solid
but I
either.
also know that not many of us bothered to pick up the DLC, so it hasn't really
No.
been utilized all that much. Next up, let's talk about games, because I feel like this is the Nintendo Switch
Here we
2's
go.
biggest strength, but also currently its biggest weakness. Because let's be honest, Nintendo have made nothing but confusing and questionable decisions when it comes to the games. Like, let's
Yep.
start with Mario Kart World. It is a really fun game, but it is also a really terrible price tag. And if I'm being entirely
$80
honest,
is
whilst I did
crazy
enjoy
work.
my time with it in the first couple of weeks, it's not actually something I found myself going back to all that much so far.
See?
Donkey Kong,
I
however,
keep
I
telling
thought was
y'all.
absolutely fantastic. I'm not someone who typically loves 3D.
Hey man, Nintendo, I get it. Whoever you're trying to match the market, you're trying to reset the market though, but $80 for Mario Kart World when it doesn't have much content, still waiting on the next season. And honestly, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I think Mario Kart World is done with like new stuff added to it. I don't see them adding new maps. I don't see them adding new characters. I think this is it. I think this is it. Like we're waiting on more content for it, and I think this is the game. I think this is it, y'all. So now, if you're a Mario Kart World fan and Mario Kart World stayed the same for 2 years, I asked this question in a different video. Leave in the comments below, would you be happy with Mario Kart World for what you paid for it. If you didn't get the bundle and you pay $80 for it, would you be happy that you paid $80 for its current state? And let's say 2 years from now, the game is still the same, no add-ons, no DLCs. Because I don't feel it doesn't feel like anything's going to be added to it. Because when I think about it, it's like there is potential there to make the game grow and just like they did with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I believe. But I don't see it. I just don't see it. I feel like that's it. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments.
Platformers, but I had a blast playing it, and I think this game truly
Thought
highlights
Bonanza
how much more
was
powerful
fire.
the Switch 2
It was
is
definitely fire.
versus the Switch, especially in docked mode, because with it being 4K and HDR, it looked absolutely incredible.
Looks incredible.
Then we had the introduction of variable prices, which don't feel all that variable at the moment. It just feels expensive. I also love the fact that Nintendo have been giving us free Nintendo Switch game upgrades, giving them better graphics and frame rates on the Switch 2. I think the most notable ones I've played so far has been Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And truly, I think Echoes of Wisdom was made for the Switch 2. This is how the game should have looked. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, they did their best with it. It looks way better than it did on the Switch, but definitely has a long way to go to look graphically in place on the Switch 2.
This is supposed to be an upgraded
Nintendo seem to be
console.
continuously
Why is there
adding to
still
its library of
problems?
games, getting a free Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade, which is great as it's bringing people to games that they might have skipped on the Nintendo Switch when they're desperately looking for something else to play on the Switch 2. Then we have the not so great thing, which is Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Nintendo Switch games.
Some
Honestly,
money grab.
I don't like these, and I truly don't know someone who does or someone that wants them. They basically add on DLC to existing Nintendo Switch games and then upgrade them to Nintendo Switch
grab,
2
man.
to justify charging money for the upgrade.
She's spot on,
I think
man.
the best of them so far has been the Kirby one, but I truthfully wasn't the biggest fan of how they even did that one. They sort of added little bits on to existing levels, and I don't really understand why they didn't make it like a proper.
The biggest issue with like a lot of these Switch 2 versions and DLCs is it's like like Nintendo is charging entirely too much money for older games that was on older consoles or whatever, and then beefing up the graphics like it's a brand new game, which they're trying to justify charging $60-$70 for it. Well, $60. That's crazy work. The DLCs, that's debatable because in the day you want content, you gotta make money though, but charging $50-$60 for older games that don't even really translate any more better than it was on the Switch 1 from what other people are saying, it's crazy work. It's very much crazy work, and Nintendo has been doing money grab. It feels like allegedly, it feels like they've been doing money grabs, man. I feel like Nintendo has in some ways they fumbled this launch with the Switch 2, but it's early. It's been 4 months, so we shall see.
DLC where they added brand new levels for us to run around. I feel like that would have been so much more worthwhile the money instead of what they did, and it sort of feels like they're just trying to justify charging you for a Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade. I personally think you should just have got them all for free and then paid for the DLC if you wanted to, rather than lumping in the upgrade and the DLC.
Companies
At least then I might have been a little bit more excited when I see them announced in Nintendo Directs, rather than now when I just don't really feel any sort of way about it. I think the other issue I have with games on the Nintendo Switch 2 right now is that I love indie games, but there is barely any of them made for the Nintendo Switch 2.
Man.
Now, don't get me wrong, the ones we've gotten so far have been incredible.
Nintendo
the Silksong Switch 2
and
port
developers,
is fantastic.
where is the
so
heat?
is Hades 2. I've personally
Hades
really been enjoying
Hades looks dope.
the Story
I need
of
to play
Seasons, Grand Bazaar Switch 2 edition, and the Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, because these have been absolutely fantastic and have been exactly what I wanted.
Dope.
They have made me feel like I am finally getting the full experience on a Nintendo device. No compromises made. The issue is there is just so few of them. And currently, most of the indie games that are coming out are just getting a Nintendo Switch release. And although these do work,
until developers stop making games for the Switch 1. They're going to keep making Switch 1 games and then Switch 2 versions. And the Switch 2 versions may not even optimize correctly. Because for some reason, there's people still stuck. These companies are still stuck on the Switch 1. The Switch 2 is out. Start making more games for the Switch 2. We bought the Switch 2 for Switch 2 games, not Switch 1 games. You hear that? Make more Switch 2 games. It's time to start rolling out the new ideas, y'all.
On the Nintendo Switch 2, the issue is that they not only don't make use of the Nintendo Switch 2's power, they also look worse in handheld on the Switch 2 because it's a 720p image stretched now on a 1080p screen. So with games that have a lot of text in them, like Day Everything, they take a huge hit when you're playing them on the Switch 2 versus the Switch. It's completely fine to play in docked mode, there is no difference, but it is truly handheld where you suffer the most. Now the thing is, we can't really talk about Nintendo Switch games without addressing the game keycard issue. So if you didn't already know, Nintendo releases physical games in 3 different ways. First up is the best way. This is where the entire game is on the game cartridge. And so far, this has been the way that every single first-party game has been sold physically. And you can see that this says on the game, absolutely not. So overall, do I regret buying the Nintendo Switch 2? Absolutely not. I've actually found that I've been gaming so much more since this came out because I've just wanted to be exploring and trying all of the games that I can on this device. Whether or not you should buy it though depends purely on the games. Because the reality is, if you wait a year to buy this, if you wait 2 years to buy this, all the games that have just come out or coming out in the next...
All right, if you want to watch the full video, go to Hopefully I'm saying it. I apologize deeply if I'm saying your name wrong. I have description, the link or whatever in my description where you watch the full video. Yeah, though, man. Do I have buyer's remorse? Do I regret buying the Switch 2? No, I don't. Because I know more stuff is going to come to it though. But gotta keep it honest with y'all and keep it a bean. I feel like this rollout for the Switch 2 has been very underwhelming. I paid $500+ or whatever for the Switch 2 for the Mario Kart bundle. We know what Mario Kart is. Mario Kart World is right now. To me, it's gotten boring and needs more content. A lot of the games that were announced in these directs, they've been okay, but there's nothing that just blows you out the water. Outside of Donkey Kong Bonanza, Metroid Prime, and then the new Mario Tennis. Yeah, it's time for Nintendo. Y'all got to start coming with it, man. Like, y'all got to... We spent too much money on this console for you guys just be winging it. The fact that people love third-party games and there's very few, maybe the developers just haven't... I don't know what they're doing right now. Maybe like the indie developers haven't figured out how to optimize their games correctly. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Is there an interest even making third-party games for Switch 2? I don't know. Where's the heat at, Nintendo? Where's the heat? The only reason why I don't have buyer's remorse because there are some good games on Switch 2, and it's definitely still fun to play. Other than that, though, man, I've enjoyed the Switch 2. I don't regret buying it. As she said, she didn't regret buying it. Same here. But I do want to get my money's worth with the Switch 2, and as of right now, it's been underwhelming. But we're still waiting for that banger to drop to where it's like, this is why I bought the Switch 2, man, and I'm appreciative of that I got it. Let me know in the comments. Do you regret buying the Switch 2, or do you love the Switch 2? Let me know your reasons and thoughts and stuff below in the comments. I'm just giving my opinion, man. I'm just talking. But you already know what to do, man. It's Arkitek Mr. J with another video. You haven't already hit that subscribe button, notification bell, like, comment, share. Until next time, peace.